Hello everybody. Today we are going to talk about trains in this complete Satisfactory train guide. First, the basics. You can unlock the trains by unlocking the monorail train technology milestone, and this is located in tier 6. Rails cause beams and pipes, and when building them, they will naturally curve left or right depending on the terrain they are placed on. So for straight rail lines, it's best to build them on foundations. To place down a rail line, all you have to do is place them down how you would normally place a belt line. It's important to note here that you can't just snap a line to another line anywhere. It has to be done where two segments meet. So if you find that you really wanted to put another line here in the middle here, let's say, you'll have to delete this line and branch it into two different line segments. And that'll allow you to then connect your intersection at that location. Now, to place a line in a 90 degrees turn, start the next line segment, but go out 3 foundations straight and 3 to the side, and then place down the other end of the segment. Next, to place down a locomotive on a rail line, just aim at the rail line and place it down on it. Same goes for the freight cars. These will just snap to the end of the locomotive or the last freight car you put in. For best results, you will want 1 locomotive for every 4 freight cars. If you have more than that ratio, the trains will struggle to move uphill. You can double the amount of locomotives in the front to allow for more freight cars while keeping in mind that 1:4 ratio. As a general rule of thumb, you probably want more short trains than one giant train, because the more freight cars your train has, the more it will weigh and the slower it will be. So by having shorter trains, they can all go faster and be more efficient. Start off by putting down a train station. You'll want to make sure your train station is facing the correct direction. The curved side of the train station is the front of that train station. Next, depending on what you need your train to do, you have 4 different options. Either you want to put down a freight platform. This is for things that would use belts, or fluid freight platforms for just that, fluids, or 2 different empty platforms, one of which comes with a catwalk. I'll go over later why you would want to choose empty platforms. When putting in platforms, it will snap next to the previous platforms or station. And here you have the option to putting the inputs and outputs on either side. It all depends on which side your lines come in from. You could change a station's name by hovering over the train station and pressing E. From here, you could change the name at the top. This is what a basic loop circuit might look like. For demonstration purposes, we have 2 stations, the orange and the purple station, and 1 train. Each freight platform in a train station could be told to unload cargo from a train or load a cargo onto a train. To do that, you just have to change the train settings from unload to load. For us, we will set the orange station to load cargo onto the train and the purple station to unload. You can enter a train by going to the locomotive and pressing E. From here, you can press Q to enter the train menu. In this menu, there's a few things you can do. You can change your train name. You can edit your timetable, which is where you will tell your train which stations to visit. In our case, we'll just add both the stations to the list and then save the changes. Now you can see here that it'll show you what the next station is. And finally, you can also turn on self-driving mode. Your train will now continuously go from one station to the next until you tell it to stop. Now let's introduce a second train. If you just add more trains to the same loop without doing anything else, they might end up crashing. To avoid collisions, you'll need to introduce something called a block signal. These block signals can be added to a line in order to create different blocks. Block signals will prevent a train from entering the next block if there's currently a train in that block. You'll notice that the whole line is red, and each color on a line signifies its own block. So right now, the whole line is red, which means we only have 1 block. And right now, because we only have 1 block, a collision can happen. So we want to fix that by creating at least another block. So we want to create a block segment around the train stations. So by putting down a block signal at the beginning and at the end of a train station, we will be able to create a new block. And you can tell we've created a new block because there is now two different colors on this line, the red and the orange that's underneath this block. Yeah, okay, but why is it that this train still says you can't go because there's a train in the following block? Well, that's because there is a train on the next block and it so happens to be over here. So what we will want to do is add more blocks on this train station. Now you'll notice 4 different colors, meaning 4 blocks: the red, the orange, the yellow, and the green. Here, the idea to avoid issues is to have more blocks than trains. And you need to make sure that the block's length is greater than the train's length. You can also create a bidirectional train, and that is a train that has a locomotive in front and in the back of it that allows it to move in both directions on a given line. This is what it would look like. You have a station on the left and a station on the right, and one line connecting both those stations. And this train is able to move back and forth between these 2 stations without having to do a loop. Now, I'll show you later on ways that you can have multiple bidirectional trains on the same line without having issues. The reason you would want to use multiple empty platforms is to be able to deliver cargo to multiple stations with just one train. An example of that would be a train that's delivering iron to multiple stations. In this example, let's say the first station would grab the first 2 cargo holds of iron, and then the second station would grab the last 2 cargo holds of iron. By the way, did you know that rails carry power? This allows you to just run rail networks across the entire map and not have to worry about bringing power lines also. Just make sure that you connect your power source to the first train station, and then you can hook any future buildings to a train station anywhere on the map. This also works for a hover pack. As long as you're near a rail line, you will not lose power on that hover pack. Here we have a simple 2-station setup. We utilize path signals here and block signals in order to properly manage the intersections. As a rule of thumb, you want to place a path signal at the entrance of every intersection and then a block signal at the exit of every intersection. Here we've done the same thing on this side, a path to get in and a block to get out. And we've done the same thing on this side as well. Now I'll be showing you from start to finish how to set up the path and block signals. Here we have a very common T intersection where 2 of the exits lead to train stations and the other one is just closed off in a loop. It's important to note you're going to have enough space in these portions right here in order to accommodate your trains. I have a basic 2 locomotive and 1 freight train setup here, so I don't need a lot of space. We are going to first start with this intersection. We need to remember the golden rule. When you enter an intersection, you need to put in a path signal, and when you exit an intersection, you need block signals. So here at the entrance, we are going to drop a path signal. Now this side has 2 exits. It could head to the right here, or it could head to the left over here. So we will head to the right and put in a block signal right here. Then we head to the left and put in another block signal. And that completes the one side. Next, we will tackle this side over here. So we put down a path signal at the entrance of the intersection. And this line can go straight over here. And you can see there's already a block signal, so we don't need to put another one. From here, we can go to the left over here. So we will need a block signal over there. Now we have to tackle the last side. So from this area, we need to put down a path signal at the entrance. And you'll see here that to the right, there's already a block signal over here, so we don't need to put one there. And in front, there's also one there, so we don't need to do anything else. This intersection is now complete. But in order to get a working system, we still need to tackle the other 2 intersections. So again, a path signal at the entrance of this one, and a block signal at the exit. And we'll do the same thing coming back from the other side here. And this one's done. Now we just have to do the same thing at the other intersection. And just like that, the intersection is now fully working. If you need more help, you can watch more tips and guides here.